watched as complacency replaced discipline. We sat on the sidelines as clickbait replaced our history. And we kept silent as our skill sets and careers became automated, antiquated, routine, and forgotten. This is unacceptable. We're here to guide you towards putting down your number and reclaiming your given name. We're here to guide you towards your vision of freedom. The world has changed, and there's no more room for willful ignorance. So to those happy with being stuck, with being complacent, this podcast's not for you. But to those looking for more, follow us as we reclaim it all. For our children, for our grandchildren, and for future generations to come.
From somewhere deep undercover in the Pacific Northwest, this is the American Reveille Podcast, and here is your host, James Lane.
Work, 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 yup, work, 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 work. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the American Reveille Podcast. Guys, it's time to wake up and work. Are you guys getting annoyed yet? Sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. So, alright, I'm fucking done. Look, I'm just excited because this episode is all about one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. But work itself is a pain in the ass. It just takes, like we talked about last time, discipline, which most of us lack discipline. So anyway, folks, I'm not going to bullshit you. When we talk about finding discipline or lubricating the discipline, I hope you guys see my air quotes, by the way, that I'm doing right now. Lubricating the discipline. It's kind of like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, like laser beams or magma. So when we talk about lubricating the discipline, as we talked about on the last podcast, hopefully not with KY, maybe with KY for some of us, even the stuff that makes discipline easier, you know, having a destination and a vision, beefing up your organizational skills, changing or calibrating your mindset, all the shit takes work. It's not easy. It's not fun. I mean, it can be fun if you start enjoying, learning, but if you like to punish yourself like I do for not meeting personal goals and stuff, that can be fun. But anyway, folks, look, again, it's not easy. It's going to take work. And since I've done a bunch of that work already, you can kind of learn from what I've learned and skip a few steps without having to, air quotes again, do it the hard way, as they say. So, haven't we been doing it the hard way for a long time? Haven't we doing it hard long enough? So let's just do it the difficult way. So there, boom, different perspective. So look, if Iggy Azalea and Rihanna can both sing about it and do it, so you can too, pal. So look, let's move forward. Since you and I are taking this little canoe trip together, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here because I want this show to succeed so much, and I want you guys to succeed so much that I truly believe there's a value in it for you guys to learn the things that I've learned. I've been working 16, 17, 18-hour days to get this podcast right while I'm sent home from work on lockdown, and most of you, a lot of you are home on lockdown. I go to college online. I'm working on a PhD, that takes away a lot of fucking time. Anyone ever see a Gantt chart? Anyone do project management shit? There's only so many hours in a day, folks. I've been subtracting meals from myself before being on a written schedule. So, to increase the hours that I have in other areas, be it to spend some time with my children, my family, to write, to do school, to work on entrepreneurial endeavors, to plan, blah, 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 blah. Look, woosah, I can sit here and rub my ears and say good things all day long and calm myself down. But at the end of the fucking day, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. What I'm saying is that you have to leverage your hours. It takes hard work, and it's a pain in the fucking ass, and it can feel like you're drowning, but it's manageable. It really fucking is. So look, hard work can feel like fucking quicksand sometimes, and the real trick, the true difference in people, and this is totally my opinion, guys, but naps. I feel like if you come home from work and you have a bunch of other shit to do, like closing my eyes for 30 minutes, no matter how convincing, spells imminent doom for any other fucking plans that I had for the rest of the day, period. So like I started forcing myself to stay awake. That was a thing I did. My wife didn't appreciate it at first because I was pretty pissy for a while, but now if I skip a nap and I go right to my computer and work on an endeavor, my side project or a creative thing, whatever I'm working on, writing, it actually fucking starts getting done, Procrastination to me is the name of a Greek god in my fucking life. I've been having to sacrifice hypothetical goats and chickens to this fucking guy for my whole life in order to ward off distractions long enough to make some money and feed my fucking family. Anybody that does anything creative and works their ass off knows what I'm fucking talking about. But, sometimes I even do a little fucking dance, I don't know. You gotta fucking ward off the procrastination. Pressfield calls it resistance. We'll talk about that another time, but I try to kind of follow Thomas Jefferson. He said, I find that the harder I work, the more luck I seem to have. It seems to work well for me as long as the ship's sailing in the right direction. So I find that the harder I've worked in my life, the more successful I've been, as long as I've made some good decisions along the way. So when I really personally got my mind right and got shit on track years ago and started realizing that if I was going to get this ship sailing in the right direction, I needed a strong hull. I needed a good body to the ship. And for those of you that don't know anything about ships, it's basically the entire skin, the outside of the ship. It's like the entire taco shell. So the ship I'm building, my life, needed that discipline. And I'm already making the seas slicker by figuring out my destination, and the hard work helped tremendously. But something we'll be talking about in the last segment of the show really helped sail this ship in the right direction, and it helped guide me towards the kind of self-discipline that I possess today. And that's organization, that's being anal about stuff. To make a long story short, it's organization. So look, I'm going to be taking you guys into like the process of organization in a lot of ways. I'm going to try to do something a little different. I want this podcast. Now I know it can't be completely different, but I want it to be a little bit different. So the process of planning and launching this thing, I've been documenting it as best as I can, and I've done it very fast, very quick, and very hard. So let's just call it an independent endeavor. So pictures and stuff will eventually be up on the website, www.americanreveille.com, most likely Twitter, all of the other social media stuff. I'm getting off track. Let's get back to naps. I want a nap. I'm fucking tired. So look, adulting takes what? What was that? It takes fucking work. That's what it takes. So to do it right, at least to do it right, it takes fucking work. There's a ton of adults I don't think are actually doing anything at all. I don't know. I'll do my best not to judge. Let's just say Joe Exotic's been pretty entertaining, though not really a great business plan for long-term sustainability. If he can do it, so can we. So when I was a kid, I used to read a lot, and I used to daydream a lot too. And by the way, reading, if you don't have time to do that, and I tell you to read or listen to a book, and then you tell me it's boring and you're just looking for the fucking magical unicorn of personal fucking magical growth and success, and it's made up fucking bullshit. This is your fake desire to do better. You don't really want it. You have to at least start being a little hungry. And I would suspect if you're listening to a podcast like this, you're at least thinking about doing something different than what you're doing now. So if what you want to do is fucking taking you in the wrong direction, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get in the right direction. And if you're not going in any direction at all, you have to start getting hungry. You have to start being willing to do whatever it takes to get what you want in life, even if it's fucking climbing the Leaning Tower of Pisa in the wrong direction, fucking butt naked and backwards. I don't know what to tell you, but if you want something, you have to actually want it. And when you go after it, it takes work. So look, there's obvious variations and degrees and exceptions to all of the stuff that I'm talking about. You know, everything's flexible. So depending on where you are in life and what your goals are, these things move up and down on the list. But I like to take comfort in knowing that people write books and stories about people and things that may be fictional, maybe non-fictional, but they're all based upon people. They come from people. So it means you can learn from them. And one story I read as a boy was the Odyssey. So look, just hang tight, guys. This is going to make sense, I promise. All right. You remember the Odyssey? Homer, not Homer Simpson, Adam. You know who the fuck you are, by the way, guys. Don't get confused. Back on track. The Odyssey. All right. There was a mini series about it in 1997. Armand Assante was in it. It was like a 2-part made for TV. Anyway, it was written in the 8th century BC. The milk's not expired yet. We're using it. All right. Just a quick mythological recap in case anyone wasn't there. All right. I'm going to butcher this. There's a dude. This dude's a king. You guys following me? All right. The dude king sails off to war with Troy. Make a long story short, and I'm going to fuck this up too, but he screws up a ton. He fails a bunch. He gets stuck a few times, and basically it takes him forever to figure everything out, including humility, which is kind of the point at the end. But he's really slow and dumb a lot, and he learns a little each time he screws up and improves and works even harder and tries to get back home so he can reach his family. And he, like you and I, wants to get to his destination. So again, we want to get to our destination, however that might be. So look, that stuff that I've talked about before in a very, very vague description of the Odyssey, it might be silly sounding and it might not make sense at this point, but it really drives a point that's kind of behind everything that has to do with failing and hardship and learning from failing and consistency and trying again and again. And this is really what's going to lead us to the next stop on the show today on the American Reveille Podcast. And that's really understanding and embracing your personal Odyssey. I know it's really cheesy, but I don't really know how else to put it. We go through a journey in life. We do. And it's really important to understand that hardship's inevitable for human beings on this journey. And as problem-solving creatures, we're built to handle this type of stuff. We're made to weather these storms. So one thing they don't tell you about hardship, one thing they don't tell you is that you have the opportunities to get a little bit better each time you struggle. Just like Odysseus in the Odyssey, screwing up and learning his lessons and coming back stronger each time and learning finally at the end how to figure everything out and get to his destination. So too, sometimes we have to have a hard time and we have to fail so that we can learn how to get where we're trying to go. So yeah, this comes with a reality too. Not everybody wins. You know, yes, we all fail and fail and fail and fail. And some of us keep going. I mean, some of us fail a ton more and then we do okay and we get through it and that's pretty much it. Or maybe if the plan was decent and then maybe some of us get where we want to be. I mean, it does happen for a lot of us. You don't have to be rich to be where you want to be happy. You just have to be doing what you want to do, doing what you love doing, and enjoying life the way that you want to enjoy it, having a purpose and getting to a point of selflessness where you can actually give back. It's not impossible. So where we envisioned ourselves and our families, obviously the hard work increases our overall percentage of luck. Okay. When we talk about this concept in a different episode, we will, but if we're going to get the discipline nice and juicy and we're going to lube it up with some vision and organization, we really should talk about your personal Odyssey and its value, what it's actually worth to you, you know, its value and its importance to your future. A call to reveille. We're waking up and we're making this happen. Anyway, for now, let's go on a different kind of journey. A journey to commercial land.
We'll be right back. Reveille Podcast with James Lane would like to take a moment to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to tune into the show. It's because of great fans like you that we strive to deliver the best quality content one can create as fast as one can fling the pen. The American Reveille Podcast with James Lane would also like to remind you that the American Reveille Podcast with James Lane is, in fact, sponsored by James Lane. James Lane also writes, directs, records, edits, and produces this podcast. On top of that, James Lane also handles the daunting task of running the social media management, and did I mention, he also manages the webpage, email lists, creates and designs the artwork, and everything else you could think of. With that being said, a good little boy never misses his opportunity to sell himself, and though James would never ask you for your money, he would like to let you know that if you absolutely love this podcast, the writing, the art, its production, anything, please do us the personal favor of liking, sharing, tweeting, texting, and talking about this podcast. James Lane is a father, a husband, a U.S. Navy veteran, and is personally committed to the success of the American Reveille Podcast. For booking inquiries, potential sponsors, volunteers, internship inquiries, feedbacks, comments, or suggestions, please email James Lane directly at podcast@AmericanReveille.com, or please visit our website at www.AmericanReveille.com. Now, let's get back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Feeling a little sing-songy today, I guess. It's like 5:40 in the morning and I'm a little up. So if you're just joining us, this is the American Reveille Podcast, and I am your compadre with no cadre. I've always wanted to say that. Anyway, at least as of yet. So your host, I am James Lane, and as Toby Keith would say, I want to talk about me. So what do I mean? Well, if we're going to talk about your personal Odyssey, it's only fair we start with an example, and maybe that should be my personal example, or a little bit of it, at least. So, as this is a podcast, and there's an actual point to what I'm talking about, I won't go on with my entire sob story for too long, but just long enough to make the points necessary to connect the dots, guys. So, maybe even build a little trust between us, let you guys get to know me a little. So, I'm going to be upfront about this. My Odyssey hasn't necessarily been the most pleasant. I mean, at this point in my life, I value every second of what I've been through, but it wasn't always like that. I will say this, due to certain legal circumstances, at least for a few years, there's going to be certain parts of this story that you're just not going to know about, but eventually it'll all be put on the table. So anyway, there's a substantial motivating factor in my life that I'm not able to necessarily discuss with you for the time being, but you may be surprised to hear about it when I do. Anyway, so since I wrote it down, I'm going to just read it dry. I'm not going to put any kind of showmanship into this or anything. I'm just going to read it because it's true. It's true, and it's, heartfelt, and it's real. So if any of you guys connect with it and connect with me, let me know on social media. But anyway, here we go. I can remember my earliest idea of what I wanted to be in life. I have a distinct memory of staring at rocks. I didn't stare at the rocks because they were rocks. I stared at them because I thought they were beautiful. Each jagged design kind of unique like a snowflake. This was South Florida in the early 90s during the opioid crisis and epidemic that was happening down there. And I had no idea what a snowflake looked like. I just knew there was something about the rocks. And it wasn't the rough edges or the different colors. It was the fossils. Have you ever looked closely at a rock? Some of them have leaves, seashells, little fossilized bones on them from like birds and things. And, I used to imagine as a kid that they were all dinosaur bones. It was one of the first memories I have of visualizing anything, actually. I imagined I would become a paleontologist. So poverty, it reminds you very quick that your dreams don't really mean anything. And though my IQ scores, kind of irrelevant, tested high, I ended up in the special needs class by 4th grade because at the time they believed I had ADD, attention deficit disorder, and they didn't know what to do with it back then. So they stuck me in the special needs class. So my teacher's name was Miss Schuler. And even then, she didn't, she knew I didn't belong there. All she could do was kind of like let me polish the little wooden ships. She had these little wooden ships on display. And I didn't understand what was wrong with me or why I was there. And it was really terrifying. And, so I kind of took comfort in doing little detailed things like polishing the wooden ship in her class. Anyway, this is going to make sense. So moving forward, by the 5th grade, I was on medication for ADD, and I really don't have any memories except the lingering kind of feeling of and emotion of like emptiness, like my entire imagination was ripped away from me. And kind of by the 7th grade, I stopped taking my pills and kind of rebelled. I wanted to be a rock star one day, a pro wrestler the next day. And then eventually I got to 8th grade, and then a person I never met before, my dad, showed up. So I guess my dad was like a biker, at least a wannabe biker. He had all the key attributes that you would expect from, the stereotypical Harley guy, but not Harley guy, but like biker guy. He was giant. He was like 6'5", 6'6". He was a big guy at the time. Stocky, barrel chested, big black beard, leather, the word hate, like hate tattooed on his hand, like teardrop tattoos. I mean, this is a fucking crazy guy. I'm not trying to judge a book by its cover, but this was back in the day where tattoos meant something a little deeper, today it's a little more acceptable to have, I have tattoos on my hands, but back then, it was a little scarier, especially for an 8th grader at the time. So back to reading this, I don't remember what my emotions were at the time, but I know that I was living with him a short time later, and basically I just finished the only good years of my childhood. That put a cap on that. So this is my immediate next memory, and I'm just going to read it. A white flash and a black circle, expanding ever so quickly and shrinking down to a pinpoint. Sound that I can only compare to a hard slap on a ripe cantaloupe. If only it were so quick. Blows raining down. I think I'm covering myself up, but I don't know though, and I can't tell. It's all so fast and it's all so slow at the same time. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm drowning. I can and I can't hear myself, but I feel myself hyperventilating. I can't think as fast as the flashes are coming, and everything starts turning black, fading, and I feel warmth. It's blood. It's mucus. It's my own piss surrounding me, and I float off basically into the dark undertow of unconsciousness. I guess I shouldn't have ever spilled my glass of water. I promise you guys, there will be a point in this. And I'm telling you guys this because I want to build that relationship with you. I want you guys to know me. I want you guys to trust me. If I'm going to be talking about these topics, then you need to know where I'm coming from. And we need to build that connection. So we're going to keep going with this. Look, I grew sharp from this. I had to learn to lie to my own father. I had to admit wrongdoings that I never did. Have you ever had to lie to somebody, a loved one or a parent, or have you ever had that type of abusive person in your life where you've had to actually lie to them to get the lesser of two evils from them? You tell the truth, for example, about not leaving the door open, and, maybe you get scolded. Maybe you end up with cracked ribs and a broken nose. 7 to be exact. But anyway, in my spare time, I lived in my imagination a lot, and I visualized lands and travels and riches and things you'd want when you're involved in something horrible, something to escape to. When adults saw this, I was scolded. I was called a daydreamer, and my father was notified, and I'm sure you could imagine the cycle that would continue into when you notify somebody like that. So anyway, fast forward past many more hardship stories, not really necessary or appropriate for this podcast. I'd end up finding my way back to my mom's around 16 or 17, but I was a very different person. You could imagine, didn't care about anything at all. I barely graduated high school, and eventually I did become a pro wrestler. I was paid for it enough in a few times. I was a colossal failure as a pro wrestler, twice to be exact. I tried it twice and failed at it twice. Fuck. I was in a few bands too. I had a fantastic time playing drunken rock venues. Fuck. I failed at that too. I can remember I played a show in a metal band I was in at one of the first places Kurt Cobain played shows at when he was in Nirvana, called The Central in Seattle. And I remember being on stage, and I remember standing on the monitor and just trying to be an asshole kid yelling, I went, fuck Kurt Cobain, trying to promote my band. And the entire monitor collapsed that my foot was on. And I took like an 8-foot stage dive and fucking almost broke my fucking neck, but I still did it. I did these things. I failed, but I did it. Look, I was a bouncer on and off for years and years and years just to make end meet. I drove escorts around and collect money. I've also been a senior manager at a large hardware retailer. Around the time the housing crash happened, I lost that. I joined the Navy. I grew and I learned from that. And I'm this kid who was told to drop out of high school by his guidance counselor. And yet here I am, and here we are together. So what's the moral of my personal cliff notes here? It isn't to feel sorry for me, and it's definitely not to offend you. And if you got either of those from this, then I really don't think this podcast's for you, my friend. But anyway, the moral is that I found something from my struggles. I gained something of value from them. And not that I'm advocating anything I went through, because what I went through was horrible. And lots of people go through horrible things like that. I'm not saying people should go through them. But if you find yourself in any kind of situation like that, even when you're desperately trying to get out of it, you want to at least get something from it besides all the horrible negative stuff that comes with it. So I hate to say it, but I gained something of value from those horrible struggles. So, my life's been this literal odyssey, and, maybe you could argue that a lot of it was unnecessary, but you could also argue that every bit of it was necessary to make me the man that I am right now. And every single thing I learned along the way armed me for my success. Every failure, the failed wrestling, the failed bands, the failed businesses, I have multiple failed businesses, the failed, leadership positions where I learned and grew and became better and better and eventually was able to help people. I mean, all of these things you learn from and you become better. So I say, bring on the failure so that I can become better, so that I can succeed, because mathematically, the way this looks, it looks like the more you fail and the more you come out better from it, the more you come out on the other side learning, and the more you try again and fail again and come out better, the better results you're going to get every time. It seems to have a stacking effect. If you really think about it mathematically, it's kind of common sense. It really is. But, there's a reality, and the reality is as follows. Some people, they lay down, they give up, they let the hardness of life just smother them out, smoke in your fucking lungs. There are those people, who face hardship and say, fuck you to hardship. I'm going to work harder than everyone else and prove you wrong. That's me a lot of the time now. And, look, I can be a bit much to some, and I'm not saying you need to go that far. You don't, but hear me out. Point the radar dish over in that direction if you want to get into the mountain moving business. Okay. Because you make your luck with your hard work, especially, and we talked about this in the last podcast, if you're working hard in the right direction, and we're going to get more into what the right direction is as these podcasts progress, but if you work hard in the right direction, it's almost unimaginably endless what you may be able to accomplish. So for those that are a little more list orientated, not really into the emotional hook of what I was talking about before, or really don't want to get too gushy with their inner feelings about stuff, why don't we just list out what I learned, just from a small excerpt of the crap I said I went through earlier. Let's just list out the stuff I learned, and maybe you should think too about hardships you've gone through and the things you've learned from them. But through all the bad stuff I went through, I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to negotiate. I learned the psychology of people. I learned the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse by seeing it happen in front of my eyes. I learned about the difference between right and wrong, about personal ethics and morals being around drugs and prostitution and horrible things as a young teen and wanting nothing to do with it because I saw what it was doing to other people. It's even possible that I took a few of the worst beatings because I wouldn't partake in the party I'm talking about, but that's another story for another time. Look, I learned about time and how it works and how to bend it, how to use it to my advantage. I learned about visualizing a goal and making it into a reality from nothing, crafting it in the dream world and making it real. I learned all these things and they sat in my toolbox unsharpened for years, and you may have some too. So for many of you, it's really going to be as simple as looking into yourself inside in this toolbox and realizing that you may have a couple unused resources, just as I did. And, for others, the journey may be a bit more painful, but the truth stays constant. Hard work, consistent hard work, or organized, visualized, pointed towards the destination you're trying to go to, it breeds nothing but success. It feeds the fires of discipline. You have to work hard, but you're not going to work hard unless you know where you're going, and you have to figure out how to get there. So you really just have to actively be seeking the value and meaning. You have to be seeking the lessons in whatever it is you're going through, good or bad. Anyway, there's plenty of time to talk about stuff like that. This is kind of intense, and I think for now, it would be best if we heard a word from our sponsor, which is still me, which will never not be funny. Anyway, go on with the commercial.
The following is one possible future.
We had no idea what hit us. First, we thought it was a fluke, but then it happened again and again. They first sent one back in time to stop him as a boy, but he had helped somehow and managed to escape. If only we had left a review on iTunes sooner. Now it's too late. The American Reveille Podcast has become self-aware.
Please make sure to like, share, text, tweet, and review. We are counting on you. Now, let's get back to the show.
Okay, folks, we are back talking about the ever so slippery topic surrounding self-discipline. So that last segment was a little intense, a little long, so we're going to reel it back a little now. And so now that the stage, and the scene are kind of set, we truly get a little bit better of an understanding that learning can also be the outcome of a hardship and failure if you allow it to be. Let me say that one more time. Learning can also be an outcome of hardship and failure and trauma, not just the bad stuff that can go with it. It's important to remember this. So it would be logical to assume, it would be safe, to assume that if you have an envisioned destination ahead of you, a place you're trying to go, something you're trying to achieve, and you're still having trouble finding the discipline to get there, you're going to have to start taking certain steps to maybe enhance your discipline. So, for example, learning organization. Organization is very important. So let's handle this in an organized fashion. No pun intended. Well, maybe a pun intended. Anyway, let's define it, dissect it, kind of learn how to grow into it and see how organization kind of ties into this. So first, let's establish something. Let's establish that we're adults here. So I'm not going to define the word organization for you, but hint, not the company or business, personal and professional organization. It's a real pain in the ass. Personal organization, when nobody is telling you to be organized, is a real pain in the ass. So how's your spice cabinet look? In fact, that's overused. Tell me about a toolbox. If you have a garage or a toolbox, tell me about the drill bits, or even better, tell me about the sockets in your toolbox. Look, you may be saying like, no, James, you're absolutely wrong. In fact, my fucking drill bits and fucking sockets are all perfect. I'm not missing the fucking 11 millimeter or whatever. But look, no, my friend, if your shit looks great, tell me about your week, your month, your year. Tell me about your calendar with your yearly, monthly, and weekly goals written on them. Tell me about how they work with your strategy and execution to make moves towards your destination, towards your major goals. All of it working together in sync. If we're moving towards personal and professional success, right? If you have that and still have issues, then you need to move on from my shit to Jordan Peterson's shit, because my shit might not be fucking helping you. So anyway, there's a pretty good article on azcentral.com. It was published in 2019, and this article is called The Importance of Good Organizational Skills. And they've kind of got a listing going of what organizational skills kind of transpose to in your life. So I kind of wanted to jump into that and go down the list a little bit, and also give my own 2 cents a little bit with it as well. So number 1 was organization breeds focus, which basically is the ability to kind of zoom in on specific targets and knock them out of the park. So execute them, basically get them done with precision. So you need to be able to shut the noise up and take things on one at a time. And I kind of call this using triage, just like they do at a hospital. So you got to figure out what's most important, what's most time critical, and focus your energy there first. Rinse and repeat, next. So number 2, organization breeds productivity. So look, just do the math from the last one. Let's do the math. Seriously, if you triage the things that you need to do by severity and you knock them out one by one, you will be, by definition, more productive. So 3 is organization breeds efficiency. And we're going to make this simpler because they're calling this time management, and they should have just called it that from the beginning. So I'm going to replace it. So number 3 is now organization breeds better time management. And this really is a big deal, because if you suck at time management, then man, you got some work to do. And it's real simple. Be on time for shit and get shit done in a timely manner. And we're going to discuss ways to do that. But if you're thinking, oh man, James, I feel so overwhelmed, I got all this other stuff, it can't be done. It just can't be done. But I'm telling you, it seems difficult, but it's not that difficult once you get used to it. So number 4, organization breeds goal attainment, of course. Because if you get more stuff done, you get closer to checking your goals off the list. Anyway, number 5, organization breeds deadline accuracy, which pretty much goes hand in hand with number 3, time management. So we can kind of just put those 2 together and stick them over there in the corner. The next one, number 6, this is an important one that I think people kind of overlook a lot. This is organization breeds freedom from panic, one they don't talk about very often. So organization breeds freedom from panic. So working hard towards anything can be real overwhelming. And the more organized you are, the calmer any process becomes. So look, you ever try to find that 11 millimeter, 10 millimeter socket in your messy toolbox? Is that a peaceful process for you? I'll let you imagine it and get back to me once your heart rate goes down. So anyway, next. So number 7 comes out to organization breeds professionalism. Organization breeds professionalism. So looks like they added up all the previous ones to create a new one. But like all the earlier stuff I said, it makes you look better to other people. And I can see that. So let's move on to the next one, which is kind of bullshit. And it's supposed to be number 8, but I don't even think it really should be on here. It's kind of fluffy. It says organization breeds stress relief, which kind of goes hand in hand with number 6. It's the same thing, actually. So, yeah, hey, it's a good idea, right? Don't panic. Yeah, like from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So maybe if I print large words that say don't panic in all caps on the front of my iTunes cover art, people will feel more comfortable before listening to this, and maybe I'll get more hits. But anyway, skipping number 9, balance. This is not a Metamucil ad. And finally, oh no shit. Number 10, organization breeds confidence. Amen. So look, this stuff can be intimidating, trying to figure out the building blocks of success, the patterns of winners, all that stuff. But look, I promise you, we're not going to let you down. The more confident you are, the more you know this stuff, the more you get on it, within reason, of course. Look, the more you'll try new things and even take some of these measured risks that you need to take to kind of figure out who you are and where you're going. So anyway, let's get off the stupid list. The bottom line is this. Organization is another essential lubricant for the discipline to glide upon and should be practiced when working towards finding and achieving your vision. Plain and simple. Look, when I began to slowly work on my organizational skills, I asked my wife to hold me accountable for writing on this large calendar on my wall. It's this like 3x4 black and white standard dry erase calendar. I'm looking at it right now. I draw pictures on it for the months and stuff. But anyway, I asked her to hold me accountable to this calendar. And if you know anything about my wife, which you probably don't, she's a tiny, terrifying Filipino woman. So if you've ever watched a Joe Coy special, that's kind of my life. If you ever heard him talking about his dad when he was a kid, that's kind of me. So maybe soon I'll tell you about the 2 Cheweenies I have too. So look, you're spraying down the tracks of discipline with the vision lube. You're slathering the gears of discipline with the organizational lube. And man, those tracks are shiniest you've ever fucking seen them. But you're still saying, hey, Jimmy, I just can't get my shit together. What on earth can I do? So well, you're in luck, Patriots, because I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do. You need to visualize and map the path towards your destination. There's actually processes for this, but that's just for next time. In the meantime, you need to be thinking about where you want to go, how you want to get there, and the best routes to take to the rodeo, baby. Well, all right. Well, that, cowboys and cowgirls, that's my time. And it's been an absolute pleasure again. And I want to thank you guys for spending some time with us here at the American Reveille Podcast. And again, please, 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 if you like what we're doing, please do us the personal favor of liking, sharing, tweeting, texting. Just talk about the podcast. Get it moving around. This entire thing's on us, guys. Nothing ever happened without asking. So again, like I said last time, I am going to ask. I do appreciate it, guys. And until next time, this is James Lane clocking the fuck out. I'm not salaried, guys, so don't call me at home.